All right, welcome to today's podcast. I'm joined here by Adam Fackelman and Riley Malonson. And today we're going to talk about No Country for Old Men, directed by the Coen brothers, starring Josh Brolin, Tommy Lee Jones, and I was going to say Anton Chigurh.
Close enough.
What's his character? Javier Bardem. I guess we'll get right into it. Adam, you selected this movie as one of the movies you wanted to talk about. Can you give us some background, I guess, on your relationship with this movie?
Yeah, the first time I watched this movie was maybe 7 or 8 years ago. I was just I was 18 years old, and I was really into wanting to get into more serious movies, I guess, since I was intending on going to film school. And Coen Brothers, I had heard and seen a couple of their movies before. I'd seen The Big Lebowski.
Nice.
And this, the only one I had seen previously before that was Big Lebowski, and I jumped right into this, and I was completely taken by surprise by how different it was, just tonally and thematically. And of course, I'm also a big fan of cinematography, and Roger Deakins is someone I idolize a lot, and his work is pretty incredible in this movie.
Riley, you got any thoughts on
Listen,
this?
I was so dumb the first time I saw this movie. I was probably 16, didn't know anything, didn't get it, but knew I was supposed to like it, so I did. But once I got to college, I realized that the Coens were my favorite directors, and I wouldn't say this is their best movie. I would say this falls. You could ask me any day, and I'd say it's their third best, maybe their seventh best. I don't know.
Change a lot. It
Oh
sounds
yeah, well, my first two are always the same, but this one, it's their most important probably as far as the mainstream goes. It's their Oscar win. It's that kind of deal.
It's their magnus opus to
probably.
the world, I guess.
Yeah.
But this movie earned them their Oscars, and now they're okay, now we don't need to focus on making Oscar bait movies. We can make what we want.
Yeah, they followed this up with Burn After Reading.
Nice.
That tells you a lot about the Coens, right?
A great back-to-back right there. It's still funny, but it's probably their least funny out of all of them, which is sometimes why it doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah.
As much. It's virtually perfect. But
well, Llewyn Davis is not.
I don't know. I would laugh more at Llewyn Davis than
you
this.
think so?
I
More
think
than
so.
this?
I think so.
I think this one's pretty funny. It's something we'll get into when we get to the scenes, because that's rewatching it. That was one thing I noticed was there's a lot more humor here than I thought, because the tone is so serious.
Upon rewatching it last night, the humor in Tommy Lee Jones' character, it changes throughout the movie because he's using that to kind of mask behind his fears, because contemporary violence in the movie was getting too intense for him, which is why he quit at the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. I didn't even notice that. Yeah.
And Josh Brolin, he does have the occasional quip here and there. I love his line where he tells his wife to go to Odessa. He's like, well, go stay with your mom. What am I going to tell her? Well, why don't you go out front and yell mama, mama.
The Brolin character in this, the Coens always have just a stupid protagonist, a
George Clooney
fool.
role usually.
Yeah, something like that. But this is the one where they kind of try. It seems like they try to trick you that Josh Brolin is competent. In that first 15 minutes, it seems like he knows what he's doing.
I think he's relatively competent.
I feel like
he's just
still
up against Chigurh.
Yeah, I feel like he's still outclassed against every other character.
For sure.
He absolutely has no idea what's coming from both Chigurh and the Mexican cartel.
Mm-hmm.
He's out of his element.
Yeah,
exactly.
So I guess we'll just kind of walk through the beginning scene. So it kind of opens with Tommy Lee Jones' monologue over the plains, just here's a classic Western, shots of landscapes and stuff. And then I don't remember what Tommy Lee's monologue is.
He talked about a crime that a guy killed a 16-year-old girl, or 14, whatever. She was a teenager, but he was just taken aback because the guy was no, I just felt like killing.
Yeah.
And if they set him loose again, he would kill again.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, we get this movie's going to be violent, and it's going to be a Western.
And maybe even it's going to throw into question his morals, particularly because it's Tommy Lee Jones drives the theme of the movie. Which is,
yeah, he definitely drives the theme of the movie. Which, it very much sets up, here are the thematic elements that we're going to deal with. And then it starts with our introduction to Chigurh, which is him getting arrested. Mm-hmm. And getting into the police station, and then the cops on the phone talking, and then Chigurh, strangles him to death on the floor. Very violent scene. Very dope shots.
Dope shots.
I'm pretty sure we've all seen many scenes of someone getting strangled before we watch this movie, but this one I think took it up for me at least, because I'd never seen it because not only did you saw blood getting spilled all over the floor, but then his own wrists from the handcuffs were severely damaged.
Were very cut and brutal. Yeah, and it was very intense. It was this one really long over the head shot. Mm-hmm. Looking down at him just as his life goes away. It was very intense, a very brutal opening for the Coen brothers. For the guys that did Big Lebowski, I was Big
Lebowski can be brutal.
Very shocked from this. And then Sugar goes away, takes the cop car, pulls somebody over, and kills him with the cattle gun thing. So right off the bat, we have a very intense villain established right away.
Unconventional, using the style of weapon.
Yeah, and very calm. That's one thing I remember being very struck by, was he was very calm and slow, like, excuse me, sir, like, no, relax, hold on. And, like, slowly putting it to his head. And, like, there wasn't a lot of rush or, well, there was intensity, but like a quiet intensity as opposed to, like, a very aggressive nature that you see in a lot of more violent movies. And then I kind of don't really remember how the flow of the rest of the movie goes. Are we introduced to Josh Brolin? Is that kind of how it goes?
Yeah.
That's pretty much next.
So Brolin is hunting and shoots a deer but doesn't kill it. He's following the deer, then finds a dog, and then finds the group of bodies at the truck, right?
Yep. Follows the dogs, like backtracks where the dog was coming from.
Yeah, so right off early we kind of see he's like kind of capable. Again, we're watching somebody do something. There's not a lot of dialogue. We don't really know who Josh Brolin is as a character. Or Llewellyn Moss is yet.
Yeah.
But I still find these things really fascinating, even though it's just like a shot of the scope, what he's looking at, him walking, and then it's a lot of POV and then back to the character's close reactions throughout the sequence. But I think it works really, really well. Yeah, and then what happens he finds the guy that's still alive, right?
Yeah, he finds a guy in a truck. By then he's like deduced, like, this is a cartel drug shootout, and he starts questioning, like, where's the last man standing?
Yes, yeah. And then he tracks that guy down and finds the money.
$2 million.
Pretty good hunting day. It's
Pretty
a lot
good.
better than that deer.
Yeah.
He didn't go back to get the deer, which I was a little sad about. But
Well, we can talk about that later, because I think there's a reason why he doesn't go get the deer, and that's why this movie freaking owns. But
oh, okay. I'm excited to hear that.
After that, what happens after that? Then he goes home. We meet his wife.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's next or more Tommy Lee Jones stuff, but I think that is next, yeah.
That is next. I was paying attention because I remember Tommy Lee Jones wasn't introduced for like a significant part. It feels like because of how slow paced it is, it does feel like a lot of the movie has gone by, and yet we haven't been introduced to our third main character. And I think it's like 30 minutes in we finally meet Tommy Lee Jones.
Okay, yeah. So then the next stuff is definitely him coming home. And is it the one where he's having a beer with his wife, like where he sits down?
Yep.
Talks about screwing her.
Pretty much.
Pretty funny line. Well, I forgot what he says. He's like, keep back talking me.
Yeah.
And then
Just great Coen dialogue.
yeah.
I love the fact that he just does not lie to his wife at all. He's just like, she's like, what's in the satchel? He's like, $2 million in cash.
Yeah.
Is that gun yours? No. Where'd you get it? Found it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Keep running that mouth and I'll take you in the back and screw you.
Yeah, exactly. So he seems very calm and relaxed. Then we get him trying to fall asleep, right? And he's racked over guilt about the guy that's dying, that may or may not still be alive out there. And then his big fatal flaw, which causes this whole incident, he would have got away with the money if he didn't do this. But he decides, I'm going to go back and give this guy some water. And then we see he hides the money under the house or something. He seems like he's got a plan other than... He doesn't take the money with him. And his wife stops him, and I forgot what their exchange was, but it's more good banty dialogue between them. And then he leaves, and then this really cool action sequence starts when he gets there, which is this in kind of dark light. Probably the morning. Day's about to start. So the light's starting to come up over the hills, and it's great Roger Deakins cinematography. Yeah. It's almost like a prequel to what he does in Sicario, I feel like, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I can see
later in this action sequence, because everything looks super beautiful at the time of the day, and then this car is like chasing and running him down. They let the dog out, and the dog chases him. He jumps through the water, and then this is one of my favorite sequences in the movie, as far as the action sequences go, is then he gets up out of the river, and he pulls his gun apart, which I didn't know you have to do this. I don't know anything about guns. So.
Yeah.
But I thought like the level of detail was like really cool, and it made like every other movie where people went in water dumb to me after this that had a gun. But he's got to take it out, take the clip, blow the barrel, and then put it back in and shoot the dog right before it jumps at him.
Yeah, really, it just like hypes up all of the tension because you just think that dog is very quick. You saw him like run into the water, and he's just very persistent, very quick. Then he just gets him at the last second. Yeah,
it was a very intense sequence, I thought. And then that's one of the things I love about this movie is just the way they make these non-dialogue scenes like just so riveting. Just watching people do stuff.
Yeah,
I guess. What happens after the dog stuff? Just
from there, he makes it back home, but like his truck is left at the scene because of the cartel chasing him. all that. So his truck's still there, and they can identify him by that. So he basically from there, that's when he tells his wife to go to where? Odessa?
Yeah, that's...
Her mom's. And
his wife, Kelly MacDonald, is really good in this movie
she's
too,
the
by
best.
the way. She's an Irish girl too, like that. She has a very good accent.
Yeah.
Like the Southern American accent.
And I think that's at the point where we get introduced to Tommy Lee Jones, at least on screen, right? Because then we cut to...
Actually, we go back to Shigur, and this is where, like, the gas station...
This is the coin flip?
This is the coin flip.
This is
which
the coin
is
flip.
one of the most iconic scenes in the movie, I feel like.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys feel that way.
I saw it in film school.
All right, Adam, somebody set up the scene. I don't feel like describing it first. I'll tell you about why I love it after somebody describes it.
Okay, so not Tommy Lee Jones, shit. Anton Chigurh, Javier Bardem, he's just at a gas station, getting gas, eating peanuts, and the guy decides to make the gas station clerk makes a comment, and which kind of like rubs off on Javier Bardem the wrong way, and he just decides to like flip a coin and pretty much taunt the guy and say like, not so kind of subtly, but it's obvious to us because we know what he's capable of. Like, if you like, depending on what this coin lands on, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, and the guy is not really getting it, and Javier's letting him know as straightforward as he can without literally saying, "I'm gonna kill you."
If you guess wrong,
like this is your life.
And fortunately, like the gas station clerk, he correctly guessed. He called it heads, and Javier gave him the coin. And there's that whole bit about don't put it in your pocket; it's your lucky coin. If you put it in with other coins, it just becomes an ordinary coin.
Which it is. Which I love that reaction, the way he says that too, and he's like, which it is, and raises the eyebrow. It's amazing. But this is one of the most intense over-the-shoulder shot scenes I've ever seen. Because it's literally, I have the pictures up here, but it's literally just there's 3 shots really in the scene, but it's mostly plays on just these 2. Yeah. And it's just over the shoulders watching them, and the performances are so intense that I'm literally terrified for this guy.
Like, we don't know who this don't know who this gas station clerk is besides gas station clerk. Yeah.
No, well, we know he married into the gas station.
Pretty much. Yeah. We know he married into it.
Some family history, but that's about it. But that's what the Coens are so good at, like this shot reverse shot that they honed it using like comedic timing, but this works in that suspenseful thriller.
And there's one shot that they use that like I really, really love, and there's no reason that I should love this shot so much, but the peanuts that he's eating the whole time, he puts them down on the desk, and it slowly expands, and it's just a close-up of those peanuts. We're in over the shoulders the whole time, but the Coens are like, hey, look at this peanut bag.
It looks
and
dope.
It's slowly like expanding, and I'm like, oh man, this is tense.
You know what's like very different about that scene is usually like Deakins and the Coen brothers, they don't do like over the shoulders. They usually put the camera like in front of the person, like unobstructed. So that's
well, it's a lot like for the most part they're not over the shoulders. I know Fargo is like the whole movie is over the shoulders, but like most of their movies are not over the shoulders. Yeah.
No, they like to put it within the camera, within the space. I noticed that just last night I'm used to like seeing like the camera just placed right there in front of the actor, and then they just did that whole scene over the shoulder, which I think we've talked about that scene a lot in film school, and it's just great.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's talked about so much, and somehow it's still not like overrated, I guess. It's still inadequately rated. Because it's just so good.
Well, it's all Javier Bardem. I mean, I know I just went about how exciting the over the shoulders are, but it's really that strength of that performance. Really both performances, but particularly his. Yeah. Is so captivating. And then after this, is this when we catch Tommy Lee Jones at his house with his wife, getting ready to?
No, I think that's when Anton Chigurh meets those 2 guys, and then they go down to the shootout scene.
Yes, that's right.
Then he kills them
both.
both.
And then they go back. Yeah.
Then we meet Tommy Lee Jones, because then he sees the scene as with the 2 executed
which I didn't
guys.
see him killing those people coming, even though I should have. Everything in the movie tells me you should be ready for him to kill everybody, but I didn't see it coming.
I mean, there's only 3 people in the entire movie who see Anton Chigurh and live, and that's the gas station clerk and those 2 boys on the bikes in the end.
Yeah.
Everyone else dies.
No one else won a coin toss.
Spoilers. One of my favorite like bits that goes on in this movie is there's 2 lines about it and then they cut to it the first time, but there's one pit bull.
Well, actually, I just thought of this. Sorry, I'm gonna back you off, and then we'll come back to the pit bull thing. No, I'll get to it later. I think there's someone else that sees him that doesn't that lives, but I'll get to it when we get to that.
Okay.
Anyway, go back to the pit bull.
On the ground, like at the original shootout, there's a pit bull that's dead, and the first time Josh Brolin goes down, it cuts to an insert of just or a POV shot of just the pit bull, and then Anton and the Mexican guys, is that who they cartel guys?
I think so. It's
the ones that he kills. I think they're the businessmen that work for the dude in the office way later. Like upscale.
Okay, yeah.
I think they're the money people, not the drug people.
Them, Anton Chigurh comments on the dead dog, and then when Tommy Lee Jones and the deputy or whoever he is go down, they also comment on the dog, and I think it's just a very backhanded and kind of like glaze over of the actual violence there. Like there's like 4 dead dudes on the ground, but they're talking about the dog.
But they're talking about the dead dog, which is really bad. Which is like they're like indicting who would kill a dog, and we just saw our hero kill a dog earlier.
That's true too.
You know?
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Kind of interesting.
You know, something I was like, I actually rewound the movie once, like because I was like curious, like that shot of of Josh Brolin killing the dog. I think that might be like the same like dead dog prop.
It might be
the same color. Yeah.
I think it's
definitely the same type.
I
of
can't
dog.
say 100% sure, but I think it is. And
It's funny.
can you just imagine like being like the prop master like on set throwing like this dead dog at Josh Brolin?
Get the dog out again. That's funny. But from there, that's when like the plot of the movie starts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when we start chasing everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody starts chasing everybody else.
It's when Tommy Lee Jones gets caught up, I guess, on what's going on. So he wakes up with his wife. They have a conversation about not hurting, don't get hurt, don't die. He's like, I never do. And then she says, don't hurt anybody, and he laughs. And then they go off, and then they introduce to the deputy that he meets at the site, basically, and they take the cars. And Tommy Lee Jones is like, you got to take my wife's horse because I don't want to be riding it if something happens. But the deputy to me is very funny.
Great character.
And I think a lot of it is his dialogue is very funny, but it's also that actor. I'm going to try and pull up his name because I don't really know who he is.
It's a good
literally every facial expression he does, I laugh at.
It's a good contrast.
At least
with
inside.
He's very good paired with Tommy Lee Jones. It's good contrast between like experienced and inexperienced.
Yeah.
Like
Garrett Dallahunt is his name. Garrett Dallahunt.
He seems like a very like competent police officer, but he's like light years away from being where Tommy Lee Jones is at.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree.
And they don't find out any. We don't find out any new information as an audience member when they visit the thing, right? It's just kind of Tommy Lee Jones getting adjusted to it.
I think so. Yeah, a lot of this movie is like the audience knows what's going on and nobody else does.
Yeah.
Which I think is great. I don't know what kind of irony you call it. I think it's dramatic irony. I don't know the vocab behind that, but
Hitchcock would call it suspense.
Suspense.
Yeah.
Same thing.
I think it is dramatic irony, but I don't know.
But what happens?
It's a good use of my film school degree right there.
I can't keep all the pieces of this movie straight.
No, it's a lot, and it's complicated back and forth. We might want to avoid going in chronological order if it gets too difficult.
Okay.
We'll just jump around however we feel like.
Well, eventually he drinks milk.
Yeah.
Which is just great.
So Josh Brolin sends his wife to see his mom, and there's some jokes.
Yep.
They're funny. And then so he basically goes on the run, and then Javier Bardem shows up at the apartment or the trailer. Mm-hmm. They live in a trailer.
Yep.
Right? That's the next sequence. And he sits and drinks milk. Breaks through the door with that cattle gun thing, which is cool.
Pops the bolt.
That may or may not come back later. And what I like about that scene's fine. What I really like is the scene after that when he goes to the I guess manager of the trailer park.
Yeah.
That woman.
and she's like, we can't give out no information. And this is Pete Coen Brothers to me is like just putting a character that has one scene and I know who that person is.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they're just like fully realized and they're annoying, you know?
Like
man, Javier's gonna kill her.
Like we've all met someone like her in our lives at some point.
So to get back to my other point is she lives
That's right.
because he hears the toilet flush.
Yeah.
So he's like, he's literally about to kill her. Like, there's no doubt in my mind he's gonna kill her. And then he's like, I'm gonna have to kill 2 people. That would be a rush. I don't really do violent acts fighting. I kind of just kill people like easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, not really worth it.
But you're absolutely right. She lives.
Yeah.
She's too powerful for him.
She don't give out no information.
Strongest character in the movie.
Yeah, I love her. And then Tommy Lee Jones shows up at the house, or at the trailer.
Yep.
And then he's like, oh, that's frustrating. And then the sheriff's like, what? Or the deputy's like, what? And he's like, it's still wet.
It's still sweating.
He's like, and then the deputy starts pacing around like, oh man, we got to tell somebody. We got to do something. Put out an APV. Tommy Lee Jones is like,
okay.
Looking for somebody that just recently drank milk. And then he sits and drinks, and he contemplates the violent shit he saw earlier today. When they're talking about, you think Moss knows what he's up against? No, he doesn't. But Tommy Lee Jones says he should, because he saw the same thing I did, which was messed up. And then at this point of the movie, I get a little fuzzy on what happens next. So we'll just kind of jump around to whatever you guys think.
Well, then we go into like this whole sequence where Josh Brolin's at a motel and he's trying to keep the money safe. And
Oh, yeah.
Anton Chigurh hunts him down because the money has a tracker in it, and he's got the responder that he got from the guys he killed back at the truck thing.
Yeah.
And then, I guess, then from there, we go to another hotel.
Well, let's talk about this hotel first, because there's a lot of things I really like about this.
Deal.
What I like about that scene in particular is the way that we just kind of see Josh Brolin doing stuff, and we don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
So we see him take the air vent out and put the money up there and push it back, and then we see him go get tent poles at the store, and we see him basically doing and building things, and we're like, we don't really know what's going on here.
Rewatching that scene last night, I have a favorite moment like from that, and it's really like it's very simple actually. It's like when he first gets to that first hotel room, he closes the windows and makes sure like the curtains are closed, but when he gets back, they're open. Like he knows now that someone's been there, or someone is there.
Yeah, the 3 Mexicans have been chilling there.
Yeah.
And I guess he comes back he goes to a different motel, and then he comes back the next day and goes back into that room because it's the middle of the day. The Mexicans aren't going to hang out all day.
Yeah. He makes sure to get the room just on the other
across,
side of the wall.
and then he goes back and gets the money out, but he hangs out there, and then this is the same time when Javier Bardem shows up there, right?
Yeah.
And this shit is really intense. I like that he takes his shoes off, and then Roger Deakins and the Coens make a big example to show him walking barefoot so nobody hears him coming up. He's got 2 silenced weapons.
I have an interesting theory about shoes. I want to talk about the shoes later.
We should. Well, we can talk about it now or later. I mean, we can talk about it each time because there's 3 sequences with shoes that are very...
Yeah. And those are all... I have an interesting... I guess I'll talk about it now. It's like, I have actually have a theory that he cares about not getting his shoes dirty.
Oh, yeah. I think he definitely cares about that.
It's less about... It's partially about stealth, but I think... Because the other time we see him take his shoes off,
because this is
right. We will reveal who when they get murdered, but he lifts up his shoes when
the blood is there, yeah.
And then later, third time we see shoes, he's checking the bottom of his shoes after another person, possibly gets murdered. Spoiler, probably does. Not confirmed in the film though, but
she's gone. But anyway, we'll get to that later. Yeah, because this is going in. We haven't really seen him do this, which is like outright going into a violent situation.
Yeah.
Usually he's like I was saying earlier, like kind of slowly, quietly killing people or whatever. But this, he's like ready for war. And this is an intense sequence when he goes in there and shoots all 3 of these Mexicans.
Yeah.
And then the guy's begging for his life, and he closes the curtain to not get blood on himself. Yeah. I would assume is the reason he did that. It's not because he's afraid to look at the guy when he kills him. Yeah, he doesn't care about...
He just killed 2 guys.
Yeah. He's not a guy that cares about, like, seeing someone die.
Yeah.
Which is a really interesting... Why does he have this haircut if he cares so much about his looks? You know what I'm saying? And then Anton's no joke. He's smart. He figures out that that it was in the vent. He opens the vent, sees the scrapes, sees that the money's gone, and by this point we cut back to Josh Brolin, who is pulling the money out and is gone, and we're supposed to assume, I think this happened like kind of around the same time, or right while the shootout's going on, Josh Brolin is getting the fuck out.
Is that Woody Harrelson?
That's the next picture I found.
That is the next picture. I'm really going off your pictures over here.
I think that's quite a bit later.
Is it?
I think so, but I don't remember. It might actually be right after this because this is when because they reference in the scene with Woody Harrelson that he killed the Mexicans.
Yeah.
So it might be right after this because they bring in Woody Harrelson's character, Carson Wells, just to be like, "Hey, Sugar's gone out of control. We can't control this guy. We need you to help."
Yeah, you know the guy, so we need you to do this.
Yeah, and there's a line in there that I really love, which is they're like something about, I forgot what it was, but something about how dangerous he is or something to that effect, like how bad is this guy? And Woody Harrelson says, compared to the bubonic plague. Like,
yep.
And you learn everything you need to know about Sugar if you haven't learned it already from that statement. Woody Harrelson's comparing him to a disease that wipes out millions of people. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
This dude's not good. And this is a pretty funny scene, I think, too, a little bit. I find a little humor in Woody Harrelson's character.
Yeah, for sure.
He's like, I counted the floors or something. You're missing a floor. Which is probably the 13th floor. You know, a lot of buildings do that. But that's not really related to the movie. The next is a big gap in my picture, so we can go to the next shootout. I think what happens after this is some Tommy Lee Jones stuff.
Yeah.
He's figuring out more information.
Yes.
But I don't exactly remember what he figures out.
Yeah, like I don't know. I can't remember if it's like him in the diner and the deputy shows up saying there ain't no bullet.
Yeah, that's what it is. And
right.
they're talking about the murders. And what I like about the Tommy Lee Jones, I'm just going to talk about like the next like 4 or 5 scenes with him where they go. Instead of trying to remember which one comes back to that or there. But there's that scene, and they're like, hey, we're going back out to the crime scene. You want to come? It's like, any new bodies? And I think I can pass. And then there's another scene later where he's in the police station, and the DEA calls again, and it's like, hey, we're going back out to the crime scene. And he's like, nope.
That's very cordial of him, but nope.
Yeah, he's definitely very frightened by the violence, I feel like, that he sees, and is not interested in seeing it again if he can help it.
Yeah.
But is very heroic in trying to, stop it or save Llewellyn Moss, at least.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple other quotes, but I didn't write down quotes like I did for the last movie, so because I watched it in the theater, so I couldn't do that.
Just scrawl some words down.
So, and nobody gets really hurt in the next one, right? So the next one is the next motel scene.
Yeah.
The next big action sequence. So this one is super intense.
This is where he figures out that there's a tracker in the money.
Yes.
That's why he keeps finding him.
He pulls out the tracker out of the thing, and it's a bunch of ones, which was what I was really pissed off about. If they have a bunch of money, just cut it in the hundreds. I don't know why you got to put the ones in there. But
I didn't even notice that. Yeah, you're right. I didn't even notice that.
And so he finds the transponder, but it's too late. So when he checks into the hotel, he asks the guy to call him if anybody else checks in. But then he starts hearing stuff coming up the stairs. And he tries to call downstairs, and there's no answer. Just keeps ringing. So at this point, we know that we're fucked. Mm-hmm. And then there's one of my favorite shots in the movie is the shot of the doorway with the light coming through it. And then we see his shoes walk up there. And oh man, is that terrifying. I'm like, oh, dude, we're an hour into this, and Josh Brolin's already going to die? Like,
kind of borrowing that suspense and shot from Rear Window.
Oh, is that from Rear Window?
Yeah, because back in film school, I actually did a presentation on this scene on why it's Hitchcockian.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it's basically, the beats are different, but that shot alone made me think, seeing the Rear Window, I'm like, wait, that was from No Country for Old Men.
Interesting.
Because I saw this movie before Rear Window.
Mm.
Yeah, I would have too. I would have saw Rear Window later. I think this movie is very Hitchcockian, actually, now that you bring that up. He's the master of the shot of the actor and then the POV and cutting between that to make a story, and that's what a lot of this movie is.
And yeah, we got a lot of Hitchcockian themes, one a character constantly on the run that you see a few Hitchcock movies where that's the main plot, or small one is an overbearing mother, the mother-in-law. Just one who does not.
Oh, I love that mother-in-law too. This movie is just filled with great little characters. But anyway, and then he shoots the thing Sugar shoots the thing through the door that we saw earlier. And this time it hits Josh Brolin, and I'm sure it hurt like a bitch.
Probably.
So then Josh Brolin shoots the shotgun, and Sugar's like, all right, I got to get out of here for a second. And then he takes that opportunity to jump out the window, Llewellyn does.
Yep.
And then there's an epic chase scene. And
Great chase.
Car scene. And the guy shoots him through the windows. It's epic. Any thoughts on this whole sequence instead of just describing what happens?
It's brilliant. It's I think it was I saw the storyboards for that scene. I guess Joel, Ethan, and Roger Deakins wanted to make sure it was perfect.
Oh, yeah, I believe that.
I believe it.
I like one of the parts of the sequence that I really, really like is after the car crashes. Well, the whole thing is super intense, so I like all that leading up to it with the car and the bullets and him pushing the guy's foot out of the way and having to duck and drive, and it's so fast that you don't have a lot of time to take it in. You're just like enthralled in this like dirty, real action that's going on.
Yeah.
But when he crashes the car and he runs and hides behind the other car and is looking through the window of the building and sees Anton coming up, and there's this like slow sequence of like, okay, Josh Brolin for the first time has the upper hand, and when is he going to come out? And it's like this slow tension.
Yeah.
And then we see Sugar and his point of view, like looking at the truck and then looking down at the blood and realizing, oh shit, something's off here. And he realizes it just in time before Josh Brolin jumps out and shoots him.
Yeah.
Yep.
To like semi get away. I think he still gets shot in the leg, but he basically gets away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just like the way they did that with the windows and shit and the lead up to that. But
I think that's one of the great things about this movie too, is that like so Javier Bardem sees where Josh Brolin went because of the blood on the ground, and then after Josh Brolin shoots him, he could see where Javier Bardem went because of the blood on the ground.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of mirroring just the beginning when Josh Brolin is tracking the blood of the deer and then of the dog at the same time. I just thought that's great. That's good.
Yeah.
That's cinema.
That is great filmmaking.
That's some good filmmaking.
That guy knows what he's doing right there.
All of them.
And then one thing that I liked a lot about, I guess we follow this whole sequence up after this, but is the way they deal with the wounds in this movie.
Yeah.
And people healing them. So I love Sugar's sequence. I think the Josh Brolin one is first, but I'm going to jump to the Sugar one because it's fresher in my mind. Where he walks up to the car and looks around to see if anybody's looking, and then it cuts to this wide shot and people are just doing their daily life and they don't realize there's a monster 10 feet from them.
Yeah.
And he puts the tie in the gas can and gets it all filled and then lights it. And just walks into the car in this one shot that pulls back, and the car explodes and then runs and gets to the pharmacy and takes the stuff, and then we cut. And it's literally 3 shots. Might be 4 shots because of the insert of the car gas thing, but it's the most intense pharmacy theft I've ever seen.
Definitely.
And the most simplified way of executing that's so great.
Very easy heist.
Yeah.
With everything else,
I was like, oh yeah, that would totally work. That's amazing.
Just make some noise and then disappear.
Yeah.
Yep, everybody's watching that, not watching the you take the drugs.
From there we go to him, well, skipping the Josh Brolin stuff still.
Yeah.
But we go to him in a motel room, like, fixing himself. Like,
like
he
in the
trying
tub.
to, like, what do you even call that?
Morphine
fixing
stabbing
his wounds,
him?
yeah,
Yeah.
all that. But there is one shot, like, I want to ask you about your theory here, because that's, like, the one place where we see his shoes really dirty.
Yeah.
Because of the blood coming down his leg.
Oh.
What does that mean?
I never thought of
I wonder if it's like the one time like
He's been caught, like, he's
been defeated basically.
Yeah. Interesting.
Never in the movie has he like not had the upper hand. Even when he got arrested, like he was just like biding his time, and then this is finally like Llewellyn proving himself. Like, okay, I'm capable of defeating this guy, even though I don't know who he is or what he knows only somewhat what he's capable of.
I think you're totally right. Yeah, that's a great.
I never noticed that
observation.
before that he bloodied his own shoes. That's
I didn't
amazing.
notice it until he brought up the part where he actually carries.
It's only on the it's only on the inside of the shoes, but he quickly like takes off his shoes back in the hotel room.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the shot stays there for a second too, like
to let you know, like, hey,
this is important. I think they do 2 different, like a shot from the forward and then a shot like over his thigh leg area too. And I thought that was weird, but that makes total sense now.
Okay, so then the next sequence would be this
Brolin going to
photo, I
Mexico.
think. So yeah, it'd be Brolin healing his wounds and going to Mexico, which he's a lot lazier at healing his wounds. I think he just like ends up in a hospital, right?
He just ends up in a
He
hospital.
pays a mariachi band to
Yeah.
take him to the hospital.
Which I love that he just wakes up and there's a mariachi band
Great bit.
right there.
Great bit.
They're like, this
Like,
is
there's
an
no reason
American.
for-
He's gonna pay us.
There's no reason for it, but it's just great.
It is
really
great.
good.
And I like the sequence where he goes to Mexico and decides like to throw the money over. I guess mostly I like it because it's really well lit and Deakins is a master
Yeah.
at this, making the street light look cinematically beautiful. If anybody's ever shot at a street light, you know it's like. But and these fucking douchebag college students partying, I guess, in Mexico,
Yeah.
and he pays him like $500 for the jacket or something.
It was a significant amount of money just for a simple jacket.
Yeah, and then the other guy wanted to know how much for the beer, and I thought that was really rude. It's like, I want the beer
You
too.
just give the polite guy on the border a beer.
I'm glad the guy's friends were like, dude, just give him the beer.
Throws the money over, which seemed like a dumb decision at the time, which I guess looking back it still was a dumb decision. But I still trusted him to...
You
like,
should be
it
like,
seemed
you know what
kind
he's
of
doing.
right. Yeah,
He
I
knows
was
what
like,
he's
he knows what he's doing. I don't agree with that, but but then I thought, yeah, you can't just take it into Mexico.
Yeah.
He'd lose it all. I don't know why he went to Mexico in the first place. I guess to get away from Javier, just being in a different country.
Yeah.
Carson Wells, Woody Harrelson showing up at
At the hospital.
the hospital to let Josh Brolin know what sugar really is.
Yeah.
This was an interesting scene. I thought it was kind of funny because Woody Harrelson's trying really good to be his friend. Josh Brolin's like, dude, fuck you. I got this.
It's like the first time in the movie that Josh Brolin realizes that there are more than one part. There's more than one party at play, and they're like really caught up.
Yeah.
Because we never like see much of the Mexican cartel, but yet they're also pursuing Josh Brolin.
Yeah, we don't. The only other time we see them is when, when towards the end, and then when Javier kills them. But he never sees them. He doesn't know who is in his hotel room when the blinds were open. I really like this Woody Harrelson stuff because I like it. The stuff later with the sugar too. But Woody Harrelson's basically like, you can't deal with this guy. You can't communicate with him. Like, this dude is evil incarnate. Is basically kind of what he says, right? Or am I reading too much into?
No, I think you're completely right.
Yeah.
Right on the nuggets.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we know from the phone call later that Sugar knows where Josh Brolin is, so I guess he just kind of followed Woody Harrelson. But it's back at the same hotel that he had already killed the guy, the clerk at. Mm-hmm. The ball's on this dude, man. Sugar, he kills, and then he comes back to the same hotel.
There was actually like much later in the movie, someone actually did like comment on that. Like, just like,
yeah, and they call
minor...
Woody Harrelson a veteran or a soldier. Or
yeah.
They make him seem like he was a really good guy.
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson's like, no, he's a gun for hire. But I like the sequence because as soon as Woody Harrelson, when he's coming up the stairs, as soon as he like hears those footsteps and slightly looks back and hears Sugar, you kind of see this in his eyes, like, fuck, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Like, he knows instantly, like, I'm not getting out of this. And then their scene is really interesting because any rational human being would be like, yeah, I'm going to do what Woody Harrelson says. Because Woody Harrelson's like, yo, I know where the money is because he saw it on the way back. He's like, I can go get it, bring it to you. We can go together, whatever. Like, you can get all the money right now. And Sugar's like, nah, I just want to kill you because you shouldn't be after this money or whatever. Just, like, out of principle, I'm just going to kill you. He's like, I don't need it. I'm going to beat Josh Brolin. Like, even though he just got shot, he just got defeated, he got his boots a little dirty, he's still got a bunch of guts to be like, nah, man, I'm gonna win. Like, I'm not worried.
Look, you can try to save your wife, but you made my boots dirty, so I have to kill you.
Yeah. It's very much like, it's not even about the money now. It's also about, like, I'm just gonna win this and kill Josh Brolin, too. Like,
You just inconvenienced me.
Yeah. Which is really intense. And then there's in between these sequences, I think, we'll try and catch up on what Tommy Lee Jones was doing, unless anyone else has any other thoughts on the Woody Harrelson scene.
I think we covered Woody.
Cool. It's funny guy just shows up for 3 scenes and is like, all right.
I think Tommy Lee Jones finally like connects with Carla Jean Moss.
Yeah.
He's now like traveling around trying to like do his best to protect Llewellyn and his family, or I guess just his wife. Yeah, we just see him doing his best, but there's so much he can't do.
Yeah, and
you're totally right.
Well, and I remember when he's talking to his wife, he tells her this story about like killing I don't know, it was a pig or a cow. It was a cow, and about how the dude fucked up and ended up not killing it, and then tried to use its gun to kill it, and then shot himself, bounced off, shot his shoulder. And he was like, and the point of the story is afterwards, which I really liked, was like, even in steer versus man, it's not, the contest isn't certain.
Yeah.
Basically saying like, Llewellyn's kind of fucked here because this isn't a cow.
Yeah, Tommy Lee Jones does a lot of talking.
Yeah,
he doesn't do a lot.
No. He's really an observer.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways. He's just there to see what's happening.
Yeah.
He doesn't actually impact really anything that happens. He just is there to kind of be the record of it.
Yeah.
But I really love that sequence because I love later when she calls to like tell him where Llewellyn's gonna be. She's like, "Is that story true?" And he's like, "It's true that it's a story."
Yep.
And I just love that he's like this real Southern, like, yeah, it might have been a white lie. Like, I don't know. Yeah,
talking nonsense, but it's like perfectly what's happening at the same time.
But it works perfect for the scene. We'll talk about another small character that I love, who's I believe is in one scene. Maybe she's in more. But is the mom.
Yeah, I think
Carla
she's in like
Jean's
a couple
mom.
scenes. She's great.
Fucking hilarious. I love when she's like, you know how many people I know in El Paso? This many. Holding that big zero.
Well, she's the one that ruins the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She tells the Mexicans where they're going.
That's
Yep.
Which is great. Look at because how else does it go wrong?
But well, I mean, can you blame her? She's got the cancer, you know.
She has the
which
cancer.
is such a casual line, the way she said it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like that.
I feel like I missed that until this past time I watched it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Because she's bitching about like 5 things, and it's just one of the things that's thrown in there. You got the cancer.
Where are we now? I've lost.
We've given up on chronologically.
So like Carla Jean and her mother are going to meet Llewellyn in El Paso.
Yes. Did we talk about the phone call before this? Because I really like the phone call between Javier and it was in the Woody scene.
That's right.
We didn't finish it.
You touched on it a little bit because you talked about how he talked about his wife.
Yeah. I really like that because at that point in the movie, it's kind of framed. We're seeing the back of Josh Brolin's head. So we're not really getting his emotion, but we're getting Sugar straight on.
Yeah.
And at this phone call, Josh Brolin kind of doubles down like, nah, man, I'm going to fuck you up. And in any conventional movie, this is how the movie ends, is the third act goes, this is like the declarative statement, and then the hero comes and wins.
Yeah.
And even though I'd seen a lot of Coen Brothers movies, and I was like somewhat an adult, I feel like as a teenager when I saw this movie, I was 100% convinced Josh Brolin was going to go kill Sugar. Contrary to everything that the movie has been telling me so far.
Pretty much, yeah.
I still thought, oh, this is going to be one of those generic movies.
Yeah, the movie sets itself up to be a standard chase movie, and you think it's going to end this way. Good triumphs over evil. That's what, because there's two. We also have like Tommy Lee Jones trying to do everything in his power to. Yeah,
you think eventually they'll meet up and together they'll stop him or something.
And just like an epic shootout with Sugar and. And maybe Tommy Lee Jones, he dies fighting.
Yeah. But
then we get to the motel.
Yeah. So this is the motel where Josh Brolin's at.
Yeah.
And there's the girl's trying to seduce him, and he's like, "I'm a married man. You know, I know what beer leads to. I'm not going to do that." And I guess she shows up dead, so maybe he's not as faithful as we thought.
She is the dead one in the pool, right?
Thoughts on that?
She is.
Confirmed?
I've
always assumed.
I've always assumed so, too.
Okay.
Like, there's no one else at the pool.
Right.
Like,
and the only other people you see at the motel are the people next door.
Yeah.
Like the kid and the mom. Mm-hmm. So, I've always assumed... I don't know, because we don't see it, which I think is part of the like genius of it. It's just Tommy Lee Jones hearing it from a distance. But I've always assumed that they just started shooting and then he came out. Because
okay, gotcha.
Let me try to piece it together with some of the nonsense.
So you don't think
Tommy
he slept
Lee
with her?
Talks. No, I don't, because Tommy Lee Jones talks about when he goes to see his uncle. When is it? After the scene? Has it already
No,
happened?
it's at the end. It's after he's dead. It's after Llewellyn's dead that he goes and talks.
Well, eventually he goes and talks to his uncle. And he tells him this story of this guy that had a run-in with some Mexicans on his front porch, and then as he went in to go to get a shotgun, they killed him in the door frame, which is exactly what happens to Llewellyn.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He's going in to get the shotgun, he shoots the one guy, but he's still dead in the door frame. So that's always like, I don't know how we get there.
I think we assume that's
what happened. I think
that makes sense. I never thought about that. I'd buy that.
I don't know.
Yeah, we're not supposed to know, really, I guess. I just was wondering.
Yeah, that's just the two. I think, I don't know. I've always seen a correlation between those two things.
Do you guys hate this? Well, I know a lot of people hate this, that he dies off screen.
Oh, no, I don't care. It's not about him. I'll talk about it later, but this isn't his movie.
And then Carla Jean shows up basically right at the same time. Or is it? I guess it's implied it's later after the cops show up. But either way.
It's much later. Like, cops are already at the scene.
Nighttime.
It's like a few hours later.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the same day.
Same day.
The body is still there, which is sad. But her, the reason I mentioned that is just because her performance in there is really good with no lines. Both of their performances, the way Tommy Lee Jones slowly walks up to her, and then her, like, holding back tears is very powerful to me.
Yeah, that was absolutely one of the standout moments in terms of acting. Like, I was like, wow, she, despite how, like, small her role is in the movie, like, it seemingly seemed and small, but we know she's like she's always like on the mind of Llewellyn.
Yeah, never discount Moaning Myrtle. She's fucking dope.
Is that from Harry Potter?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I always thought about her from Trainspotting.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she's
everywhere.
Too. There's a little one.
Now we go
to the scene that you described. I think
with
is
his
the next
uncle.
one. Yeah. Is that his uncle? That's who that's supposed to be? I thought it was his
Always
brother
assumed.
or something.
That was
I think he's older.
I feel like I read somewhere that was his uncle.
I
don't think I
believe
assumed
it.
that on my
Admittedly, I still wasn't like sure. Even last night watching, I'm like, okay, so what's the correlation between? Like, I know they know each other, maybe like former.
They're definitely family. That's for sure because they talk about family news. Yeah. But it might be married family. It might be something to his wife. But they're definitely family of some sort.
Which would make sense because he does say like his wife writes him.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes sense.
So I think uncle, brother, something like that. And then we get what do we get after that? It's a lot of Tommy Lee Jones scenes after this. There's the one with the dream, but I think that's late. There's a sugar coming up too.
Then
do we want to
Tommy
tackle
Lee Jones,
the sugar and then cover all the Tommy Lee Jones to the end because that's.
I feel like we should go. So after he goes to see his uncle, he goes back to El Paso.
Yeah.
To go look at the room.
Yeah.
Notices that the lock is blown out. Mm-hmm. So Sugar has been there looking for the money, which is no longer there, and the money is no longer a thing. It's not important anymore. And that's when.
Does Sugar not have the money?
I don't think he does.
Doesn't he give the guy $100 bill for the shirt?
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, like there was like when he's just outside the door, he's noticing that the lock was blown off. We get that like, a really quick shot of Sugar, like, and it looks like a pinhole. Like just half of his face is lit, and he's just holding his gun, like maybe he's inside the hotel.
Oh yeah, I remember this. Yeah. Like he's hiding.
Yeah.
Like he's literally there now.
Yeah.
I think and we can like as we're talking about it still like that's when we go to what's her face, Llewellyn's wife, Mrs. Moss.
Yes, Mrs. Moss.
Later, after burying her mother from the cancer.
Loretta.
Oh
no, Mrs. Moss. No, that's Loretta Belt. That's Carla Jean. Carla Jean.
And she's met with Anton Chigurh, like holding up his end of the bargain that he laid out to Llewellyn on the phone.
Yep.
Which is a gut-wrenching scene. I want her to live. I like her a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm very on her side when she's like, no, fuck the coin, man. You get to decide.
Yeah.
And he's just like, no.
Then he leaves, gets in a car wreck.
No, well, you missed something.
Oh.
The important thing is it cuts before whether or not he killed her. Before the coin flip.
Yeah.
But we know that he kills her. At least I know.
I do.
You guys may think differently.
No,
But I know that he kills her because he checks his boots.
He checks his boots.
Yep.
They might be dirty.
Yep.
And that might be why.
If he didn't kill her, he wouldn't check them, because why would they be dirty?
Yeah. And then he drives away, gets in a pretty brutal car crash, senseless, it seeming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yo, right there, your bone's sticking out of your arm. Which that kid, I think he's in an X-Men movie. I remember recognizing him this time I saw him.
Are you talking about the kid who gives him the shirt?
The redhead, no, the other one.
Oh, because I know the other kid, he was in Video Game High School as the lead.
I don't know about that.
I think this kid is in First Class. Yeah.
Caleb Landry Jones.
Is that his name?
Was he Havoc?
Yeah, I think he is, right?
He was in 3 Billboards as well.
Oh, yeah,
he
is.
In the Florida Project, and he's the brother in Get Out.
So he grew up to be a really good actor, but God, he's annoying in this scene because he just repeats like 3 times.
He says
your bone's sticking out of your arm.
And how that resolves by like he gets out of the car, he pays these kids for a shirt.
He pays
the
kid, but the implication is that he pays the kid to say that he never saw him here.
And then the other kid was like, "We should split that." It's like you still have your shirt.
Yeah.
And then Sugar walks away.
He walks away.
Yep.
Into the suburbs.
Hobbles off away into the sunset. Our hero lives.
Well, then we cut back to who I think is our hero.
Yeah. Which is Tommy Lee Jones.
A retired Tommy Lee Jones talking absolute nonsense.
Well, this is the one where he's talking about his dream, right? Or
Yeah.
is this later?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's him talking about the dream.
Yeah.
So I don't remember the dream. I wish I could look it up. I might even pause this podcast and look it up because I love it.
The first one is short. It's just him. Both of them have his dad in it, right?
Yeah,
The
but
first
his
one-
dad was a younger man than he'd ever been.
Yes, right, because he died younger.
Which
than
was
Tommy
a
Lee Jones
brain
is now.
fuck for me when I heard that.
No, but it's
I was
so
like,
cool.
oh man.
The first one is just him. I don't know what the exact details are, but it's basically him just still reckoning with the money, where the money is, right? And then the second one is longer, and it's about his dad going to make a fire in the wilderness, pretty much.
Yeah.
um,
So like survival away from society. You think?
that's not
Like,
how
the
I.
darkness?
That's not
No?
how I. Is that how you? Is that how you?
That's how what I'm thinking. Just of you saying it right now. I don't
okay.
remember it enough to be. I need to look it up. Keep talking. I'll look it up.
My take on the dream is it's Tommy Lee Jones just being okay with death. Like his dad is already dead. He's going to make a fire for him because he went off ahead, and now Tommy Lee Jones is finally catching up, which I think is pretty much what this movie is about.
You think this movie is about a country that's not for old men?
It's not for old men because they're dying.
Because yeah,
And it's just about
times
reckoning.
they are changing.
Yeah, it's just about reckoning with death the entire time. I heard you guys kind of hinted at I've never bought the Tommy Lee Jones being uncomfortable or out of his league with the violence, although I guess you could, now that I've heard you talk about it.
I definitely think he's like he talks about at the beginning about how they've never carried like the old timers never carried a gun. He wish he never did, and he talks about that senseless violence with that guy that killed the girl, the teenager, and he's like he didn't understand it.
And then there's the scene with him and
And he seems generally traumatized, like doesn't want to go back to that shootout sequence. Like he's avoided going there 3 times.
And then there's obviously the scene where he's in El Paso. He's talking to like the El Paso detective, and they're trying to like make sense of the whole Llewellyn Moss situation because they still don't understand the full picture.
Yeah.
They don't understand who this guy Shiger, who they don't even know by name. I don't even know if they know about him. I don't know. They just know like someone's like
No, yeah, Sugar's a ghost.
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah, I think what they know about is just the Mexican gang looking for the drugs is all they know.
That's like the story.
I think Tommy Lee Jones might have an idea, but I'm not sure.
He knows? Yeah, I agree.
Well, because he knows about the cattle gun, and he talked about that earlier in the shooting. I don't think he knows what Sugar is, but he knows that this thing is not your typical
Mexican
cartel villain, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's... The whole Sugar character is something that, like, the Coens have done. Like, this is their 3rd time doing it, at least in their filmography, over the course. Like, there's, like...
Bad haircuts? Or?
No. Like just the embodiment of evil as a whole, and it can't be stopped. It can't.
Oh, John Goodman and the...
John Goodman and Barton Fink.
Barton Fink, yeah.
You got pretty much Satan in
Oh, Brother.
Where Art Thou, and you got this character, and I think this is the most refined and the most...
It's probably because it's from the book.
Probably. It's... I don't want to say it's like the...
It's the least goofy. The other two are played for jokes. Versus, I don't think Shiger is ever played for a joke. There's jokes in this movie, but not at his expense.
Yeah, or that he causes, or anything like that, yeah.
I mean, Woody Harrelson does have a line that says he doesn't have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
And then, Woody Harrelson, when he's about to die, he's like, man, you're a strange motherfucker, basically. He's like, you're a strange dude. And he's like, what, the nature of this conversation? And Harrelson's like, no, the nature of you, man. And Shiger just doesn't get it.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, whatever. Yeah, but I completely agree. I think the theme of the movie is a lot about, I guess, coming to terms with death. Is what you're saying? Yeah.
I think that's what it is. I think that's the whole point. And I think that makes Tommy Lee Jones our lead character. And so
Do you think you believe him about, like, oh, times were better now and now it's violent and terrible? Which is kind of like his monologue at the beginning.
I don't even know if that's, like, what he believes. I think he just knows that he's old now.
Yeah,
I think
so he just doesn't fit in.
Yeah. I don't think it's anything like there's no malice.
It's not about the world changing. It's about that he just doesn't fit in it anymore.
I think that's what it is, more so than anything else. Which I think is why, like, I think I didn't know, like, when you said that people were upset that Llewellyn died off screen. I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh yeah, mainstream
I had
audiences
no
are not
idea.
as happy about that. It's your hero, man. You're leading to a climax.
You would think, yeah, but he doesn't. Like, he doesn't matter in the whole story. He's just like
Well,
that's.
I mean, he matters.
That's the...
You get a lot of themes to him, but not all of them.
Sure. Like, that Llewellyn is chasing the money, but Tommy Lee Jones is chasing Llewellyn the whole time.
Yeah.
And he ends up failing at the end, which has been always why I was... Like, that's why he retired in my mind. Until you guys brought up the, like, he doesn't fit in anymore, like, there's too much violence.
Well, I think I think it is because I think this was like a final example of that.
Yeah,
I agree that I think the Llewellyn not saving him is the reason he retires.
Yeah, because he tells, like, I think we established his uncle, his family member, he tells him he feels outmatched. There's just no way he can measure up to crime anymore because it's just escalating.
Yeah, but then his uncle says something really interesting, which is like, what you're dealing with isn't new, or something he says.
It's
like,
always...
He kind of counters his Tommy Lee Jones's argument.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the movie's agreeing with one or the other, or if it's just like, hey,
this is the way that it
is. These are the sides.
Pick your choose your own adventure. I think that's great about it, though, because I you know.
Yeah, I agree.
It doesn't matter. We're all going to die.
Yeah.
Kind of bleak.
I mean, we all will. Hopefully I'll be able to see this movie a couple more times before I do, you know?
Yeah. It's not that long of a movie.
Okay, but the question stands, did it deserve Best Picture, 2007?
Yeah, because of the, I think because of the sequences without dialogue and the way they keep your attention. Like, I think the visual construction of the film, not that There Will Be Blood isn't great also at that, but I just find that more interesting.
Just because I want my boys to have an Oscar.
Yeah,
but
the bitch of it is that they were both adapted from books.
Yeah,
because they were both going to win writing nominations, but you know, then they're both from books. So
yeah, that year,
it was a good year.
It was a good year. I actually learned this this year. Apparently, when they were shooting some of the scenes with Josh Brolin early on, him hunting and just like searching, they had to delay shooting because of smoke from the There Will Be Blood set.
Oh yeah, because they were both shooting in Martha. That's right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, this small town in the middle of Texas made the two Best Picture nominate, like the two
of the best that have ever been nominated.
Probably two of the best of the decade for sure too.
Yeah,
for sure. I wonder if like the amount of smoke was just Robert Elswit telling Deakins like, I'm gonna win the Oscar, which he did.
Elswit won?
Yeah, Deakins didn't win cinematography that year.
I mean, There Will Be Blood is fucking beautiful. The set piece with the burning fire.
That's hard. Yeah, that's
that's because Deakins he's was nominated 13 times before he ever won the Oscar, but most of those cases I'm like,
was he at least nominated for this movie?
He was nominated, and like I think they're like, it's one of those years where it's like it was kind of a toss up between him and another movie. Like,
did the fake people win editing? Does anybody know if that's...
Roderick Jaynes?
Yeah.
No, he did not win.
No?
He did not win for this.
Roderick Jaynes did not win. I think that might have been There Will Be Blood.
Probably. I feel like, they just gave... Like,
they had to split it.
Directing and writing to No Country. Yeah.
Except it didn't have a lead actor. Did Day-Lewis win actor that year?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. I was about to say he should have, but that was an easy one because there wasn't like a true lead actor. And
Javier, I assume, won supporting, right?
Yeah. He did.
Yeah. Also Justified.
That's an amazing performance, too, in that movie. That's one of the big... I mean, there's a lot of things that I love about this movie, but Sugar's performance, or Javier's, is one of them. This was my introduction to him. So, like, for a long time, I just saw him as the devil, like, this evil. Like,
Skyfall, probably. Skyfall? What movie is he? What Bond movie is he in?
Yeah, he's in Skyfall.
That's Skyfall.
Same
which he's really good in that, too. He's really good at playing the villains. But Sugar's better.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Didn't see it.
I never saw that one.
Do you have any closing thoughts?
Coens are the best. Best to ever do it.
Oh. Is this their best movie?
Third. I'll say third today.
Arguably, like...
It's not even in their top 4 on IMDb. What is that? Barton Fink? How is Barton Fink there?
Well, I'm looking at Joel. Who knows, man? Ethan's list might be different.
I mean, okay, maybe.
I don't know if it's my favorite of theirs, but I think it's their best movie.
I think Inside Llewyn Davis.
I think it's a masterpiece.
And Fargo are better.
I think Fargo's also a masterpiece. I think Inside Llewyn Davis is very good.
Some days I would say Blood Simple is better. Some days I would say A Serious Man is better. Some days I would say True Grit is better, although I think that's a hotter take than
True Grit's not better.
The other two.
True Grit's
that is a very hot take.
I love True Grit.
True Grit's a great movie.
It's a good movie.
I have a soft spot for True Grit.
No, I'm gonna definitively say it here on the podcast. No Country for Old Men's my favorite Coen Brothers movie for sure. And then I'll change that next time when we do Fargo or Big Lebowski or anything else that I love.
Lebowski might still be my favorite Coen Brothers.
This is I think this is my favorite Tommy Lee Jones performance.
I can't think of another Tommy Lee Jones performance.
Exactly. And it's definitely my favorite Josh Brolin one.
Not Thanos?
No.
Not Old Boy?
Not Doom?
Not Doom?
I haven't seen Dune yet. Yeah, it's definitely my favorite Josh Brolin performance.
agree.
He's got other good performances, but I think he's spectacular in this movie.
I
It's
would
spectacular for
agree.
him. Same for Tommy Lee Jones. Like, I think Tommy Lee Jones has had other good roles. I watched a serial killer one with him and Faye Dunaway that was not that good, but he's good in it.
I can't even remember what else he's freaking in. I've never seen Lincoln. Sorry.
That's fun. Is this Deacon's best movie?
No.
No.
Oh, that's a tough one, but
It's not. I don't think it's his best shot movie, but is it his best movie?
Oh, that he's ever worked on?
Yeah.
No, because he worked on Fargo.
he also worked on Lebowski.
That too.
Man, that's like a tough one, like choosing what is Deacon's best work, but I will say it's impressive that he was able to like work in West Texas and make it look like harsh sunlight and still have like really good images, proper exposure and everything.
Oh yeah, the night stuff's really cool too, where it fades in and out of brightness. Like the scene where he's where they're rolling up on the they're in the taxi, Josh Brolin and the taxi driver, and he's rolling up, and it's the one where he sees that the window's open. And
Yeah.
he's like, let's leave, and they're dipping in and out of light as they go.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's really beautiful.
I would say, not to be a dude bro, not to be a film bro, but Jesse James is Roger Deakins' best work.
Oh, I might agree with
Ooh.
that. It's been a long time since I saw that, but that is also a fucking beautiful movie.
I'm sorry, I know that's a basic pick. That's a killer list. Dang, Revolutionary Road's on there. Rango.
An animated movie.
Sorry, Rango is his best work. I'm so sorry.
A movie that was created entirely in
Oh, I didn't know he
computers.
did In Time. That's the Justin Timberlake one, right?
Yeah.
I have never seen that.
I haven't either, but it's the one with the, like they have the time codes on their hand.
Yeah, there was one he did last year. Was not
Oh, Goldfinch.
Goldfinch. I
The
didn't.
Ansel Elgort movie.
I did not know he did that.
Yeah,
It's
I heard
good,
it was.
though. It's the best part of that movie.
Oh, his cinematography?
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were saying the movie was
No,
bad.
no.
I was
the
like, I
movie's
heard the
not
movie was bad. Yeah, I mean, you always know his movies are going to look beautiful.
I heard it's a very hot take that he's only good because of the Coen brothers, and I disagree with it wholeheartedly. But I would say
Well,
that I
he
think
won both his Oscars for not Coen Brothers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. But that's just an opinion I've heard that I thought was.
Well, I think the Coen Brothers movies are good prior to that, like visually too, and their first cinematographer was good. But I think they take a step up when they start working with Deakins.
I would agree.
Just
I
visually.
forgot about The Man Who Wasn't There. That might be his second best work.
Yeah, that one's beautiful. Apparently, it's very close to the book. Never read the book, but I did hear one little story that was that Coen said that they added some like few little things, but one of them was the dog that Josh Brolin kills through the river. And they were like, but we thought we could do it because Cormac likes dogs, and there's in a lot of his books, there's a lot of dog stuff. So there was a dead dog earlier. We figured we could just add this.
Kill another dog.
And he said the only thing they heard from Cormac after he saw the movie when he walked out of the theater was, I like that dog, but that was the only thing Cormac said in response to his movie.
It's a good one. It's an all-timer.
Yeah,
It is
I agree. Well, I'll be back another time, I guess. I don't know how did I close the last one out?
You said, I've been here.
You guys all said bye, and then I just said fuck it. Once again, this was brought to you by Boots. Cowboy, get your outdoor cowboy boot wear.
Whatever that store is that he got those boots from.
Yeah. Oh, that's a sequence actually that I want to talk about. Is when he goes and gets the socks. And he's like, I only wear white. That's fine. But then he comes back to the same store later. And he's like, yeah, I need everything else.
You ever dress a man wearing nothing but the shoes? No, sir. It's most unusual.
All right, that's officially it.